Hey y'all, thanks for tuning in to Outdoor and Door Texan. Today we're walking through a wild one that I'm really excited about. Fermented strawberry kiwi habanero hot sauce. I know, it sounds crazy, but it came out tasty. So let's get started. First up, you can't make habanero hot sauce without habaneros. I'm working with 1 pound of fresh orange habaneros. Also, remember to check the drop-down description below if you miss any details during the video, because I'll always make sure to have all the ingredients listed there as well. Second and third up are 1 pound of strawberries and 1 pound of kiwis. I'm keeping these measurements equal because I want there to be just as much fruit punching you in the face along with all that habanero heat. Like I said at the beginning of the video, this is a fermented hot sauce. So we're going to ferment the 3 main ingredients. To do that, grab some type of jar and pack in these 3 ingredients, leaving a few inches of space at the top. I layered it so that the more floaty kiwis are at the bottom, then heavier strawberries, and finally the habaneros up top that wedge together well, which will keep everything from floating to the surface. Once your jars are packed, grab a glass weight or some other sterile weighted object and place it over your fruit in order to ensure nothing rises above the waterline. Fermentation has to happen in an airless environment, meaning all ingredients you intend to ferment must be completely submerged. With everything weighted down, combine about 7 grams of table or pickling salt to 1 cup of water in order to make a nice and fermenty 3% brine. If you don't have a scale, the about right but not quite right perfect ratio is a 1 teaspoon of table salt to 1 cup of water. Take that brine and fill your jars until the ingredients are completely covered. Also, leave about 1 inch of air at the top if you can. I'm topping these jars with a pickling pipe, which you can find on Amazon, but you can also use an airlock, various other pickling gadgets, or simply tie some cheesecloth over the top of your jar so nothing creeps in. Now, what exactly is fermentation? The quick way to explain it is that fruits and vegetables contain natural bacteria that, when deprived of air, can stop the growth of other microbes that would otherwise cause spoilage. This good bacteria that grows inside the jar, it feeds on the carbs and sugars within the fruit, and then converts them into an acid which then preserves the food. Beyond essentially pickling these ingredients, the process also begins to alter the flavor, developing a tangy, sour finish which gets stronger the longer you ferment it. Think of sour kosher pickles as an example of an extreme. Finally, for the health conscious, the good bacteria that grows is also a probiotic that's good for gut health. And with fermentation explained and all your prep work done, place your jars in a cool, dark place for 1 week to ferment. After 1 week of fermentation, the brine should start to get cloudy from the chemical process happening inside. Also, you'll notice gas bubbles developing in the jar as that bacteria works its way through the sugar. It's important that you don't seal these jars, because those gas bubbles will build up and eventually blow up your jar. Anywho, after 1 week, we should be at a nice middle ground where the ingredients have begun that pickling process and they'll have a nice developed flavor that'll be way different from just blending fresh fruit. As you start to dabble with fermentation, you can of course play around with how long you want to ferment them, but sticking with this 1 week as a first try works great for this recipe. Now grab a glass bowl and a colander or sieve. Then pour out your jars and make sure to hang on to that brine liquid for a later step. Then transfer your fruit into a blender and give it a quick first blend. Add 3 to 4 cloves of garlic, about a 1/4 cup splash of apple cider vinegar, and now we're going to reintroduce some sugar to the sauce to help sweeten the overall flavor and mellow out some of the heat from those habaneros. This is all a matter of taste, and yes, you really do need to taste this as you go, regardless of how hot this stuff starts out as. You really can't tell how you're changing the sauce unless you're trying it a little bit at a time. For me, I settled on 4 spoonfuls of sugar, which helped calm down some of the capsaicin heat while also giving the fruit flavors a nice pop back to the front of the palate. Again though, it's totally up to you as you taste it. Finally, take that leftover brine and add about 1 cup to your blender. This will help smooth the consistency of your sauce out and make it much easier to pour out of a bottle. You're welcome to play around with how much brine you add back, but again, just taste as you go. Now, just give it one last long high-speed blend until you're happy with the consistency. This batch will fill quite a few hot sauce bottles, so make sure you have plenty on hand. Also, remember to properly sanitize whatever the heck you're using before bottling. The color of this sauce, which isn't quite coming across on the video very well, is a really cool looking pale pink. It really doesn't look like anything else I've ever made. I also love how you can see those kiwi seeds suspended in the sauce. This is just a really cool looking hot sauce. As far as tasting this hot sauce, it's just the weirdest thing, but in an awesome way. There are tons of strawberry notes. The kiwi isn't as pronounced, but it is there, and then there's a tang of that fermentation in the background. Finally, the heat from the habanero pushes everything out of the way and starts to sizzle your tongue. It's like drinking a smoothie, but spicy. I don't know, you just really have to try this out. Now, the best and safest storage for your hot sauce will always be in the fridge, especially for fermented hot sauces like this one. There's still a good amount of sugar, especially if you added as much as I did while tasting. So if you leave this out, the fermentation process will start up again inside that bottle. Even in the fridge, this bottle will still very slowly continue to ferment. So use flip up bottle tops if you have them, or just make sure to unscrew the cap every so often to release any pressure building up. That'll do it for this one, and thank you all so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions at all, or give this one a try. I'd love to hear what tweaks you made and how it turned out. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing for more great content to come. Alright y'all, take care.